And 1964 looks like it might be the year of the ballot or the bullet. Because Negroes have listened to the trickery and the lies and the false promises of the white man now for too long. And they're fed up. They've become disenchanted. They've become disillusioned. They've become dissatisfied. And all of this has built up frustrations in the black community that makes the black community throughout America today more explosive than all of the atomic bombs the Russians can ever invent. Whenever you've got a racial powder keg sitting in your lap, you're in more trouble than if you had an atomic powder keg sitting in your lap. When a racial powder keg goes off, it doesn't care who it knocks out the way. Understand this, it's dangerous. And in 1964, this seems to be the year. Because what can the white man use now to fool us after he put down that march on Washington? And you see all through that now. He tricked you. Had you marching down to Washington. Yes, had you marching back and forth between the feet of a dead man named Lincoln and another dead man named George Washington, singing, "We shall overcome." He made a chump out of you. He made a fool out of you. He made you think you were going somewhere, and you ended up going nowhere but between Lincoln and Washington. And in 1964, you'll see this young black man, this new generation asking for the ballot or the bullet. That old Uncle Tom action is outdated. The young generation don't want to hear anything about the odds are against us. What do we care about odds? When this country here was first being founded, there were 13 colonies. The whites were colonized. They were fed up with this taxation without representation, so some of them stood up and said liberty or death. Though I went to a white school over here in Mason, Michigan, the white man made the mistake of teaching me that Patrick Henry was a patriot and George Washington wasn't nothing nonviolent about old powder George Washington. He made the mistake of letting me read his history books. Liberty or death was what brought about the freedom of whites in this country from the English. They didn't care about the odds. Why, they faced the wrath of the entire British Empire. And in those days, they used to say the British Empire was so vast and so powerful, the sun would never set on it. This is how big it was. Yet these 13 scrawny little states, tired of taxation without representation, tired of being exploited and oppressed and degraded, told that big British Empire, liberty or death. And here, you have 22 million Afro-American black people today, catching more hell than Patrick Henry ever saw. I'm here to tell you, in case you don't know it, that you've got a new generation of black people in this country who don't care anything whatsoever about odds. Why does this loom to be such an explosive political year? Because this is the year of politics. This is the year when all of the white politicians are going to come into the Negro community. You never see them until election time. You can't find them until election time. They're going to come in with false promises, and as they make these false promises, they're going to feed our frustrations, and this will only serve to make matters worse. This is why I say it's the ballot or the bullet. It's liberty or it's death. It's freedom for everybody or freedom for nobody. America today finds herself in a unique situation. Historically, revolutions are bloody. Oh yes, they are. They haven't never had a bloodless revolution or a nonviolent revolution. That don't happen even in Hollywood. You don't have a revolution in which you love your enemy, and you don't have a revolution in which you are begging the system of exploitation to integrate yourself into it. Revolutions overturn systems. Revolutions destroy systems. A revolution is bloody, but America is in a unique position. She is the only country in history in a position actually to become involved in a bloodless revolution. The Russian Revolution was bloody, Chinese Revolution was bloody, French Revolution was bloody, Cuban Revolution was bloody, and there was nothing more bloody than the American Revolution. But today, this country can become involved in a revolution that won't take bloodshed. All she's got to do is give the black man in this country everything that's due him. Everything.